Hello, I'm Joe Henderson.
I'm Lee Garbett.
And first of all, we want to say thank you so much for this honor. We are thrilled.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're so happy and grateful, and we're just so happy that you guys responded to the book, which was a passion project for the both of us. So thank you guys.
Definitely. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. It means such a lot, and we were completely amazed when we heard the news. It's fantastic. Thank you. Well, I didn't actually realise that it could be a career in the UK, really. So I've always done artwork. When I left college, I went to art college and left, and I've always worked in art. So I've worked in games and things like that. So drawing is just something I would do for fun anyway. So this is something that I've always loved. But I've read comics since I can remember reading anything. And I didn't get into it till relatively late, so I've been doing concept art for games and things beforehand, and then managed to get an indie comic, and then through 2000 AD, and then set those things at DC, and then worked there, and then did stuff with Marvel. So it was kind of in 2016 I think I started, but I've been working in game things and concept art, like I say, from the minute I left college. So I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't drawing, really. So it was a good job this exists. I'll be stuck without it. But comics are like my passion. So it's a dream come true.
Yeah. Similarly, except with much less actual learning involved. I just have always written. Since fourth grade in America, when I was about 10. I would just write stories. I would write fan fiction, I would write my own stories, and then when I became a teenager, I really wanted to write novels. And so I wrote a 700-page novel, and then, it's terrible, by the way. And then I got into college, and I discovered screenplays, and I was like, oh, this is fun. This is writing without having to describe things. It's dialogue. I love dialogue. I love writing people interacting, and I was able to focus on that, and so I got into TV and film. But comics are what I grew up on. I grew up reading them and loving them, and so the chance to tell a story on the page was so exciting to me, and I had this idea that I didn't know how to do any other way than in comics, and so that's how that came about. But in particular, it's just, this is the thing I love to do, and like Lee said, I'm so lucky to be able to do it, because it's pretty much the only thing I'm good at. But it's incredibly fun. I get to go on a journey every single day inside my imagination, and that is a pretty cool thing.
Considering you haven't really written comics before, and having, because I said 2016 when I started. I started in 2006. That would have been so 2000. But your scripts were just amazing from the get-go. So there was never a sense of this needs changing, or they perhaps haven't sort of grasped how comics work. This is there it is.
Because I did my homework. I read a lot of comic book scripts to make sure that I was completely ready when I came in. So do your homework. Lee, you have a much longer list than me. I'll start because I've done Skyward and Shadecraft, which is our new book. Oh, I got it right here, so you can pull it up.
Nice.
So hopefully out in France sometime soon. Those are the two comics I've done with that guy right there.
Well, quite a few, I think, but sort of most notably Skyward and Shadecraft, which is our current book. Did a run on Captain Marvel recently, and I think probably most well known for maybe Loki, Agent of Asgard, possibly, and a run on Batgirl as well with Stephanie Brown. Those are the main books. But I've worked on kind of quite a few characters now. I haven't really done any X-Men or worked in that department particularly. But Captain Marvel, Loki, and Batgirl, I'd say, were the main, sort of the big two ones I'm known for, I guess.
Lee's Loki is one of my favorite books, full stop. So That is the book that made me desperately want to work with him in particular, because and Al Ewing wrote it. It's an amazing, amazing book. So that's my favorite book of his, other than the ones we do together. When it comes to Skyward and Shadecraft, I'm not choosing between. Oh, which most popular? Skyward is the most popular for now. So when I was a kid, I used to lay in my backyard and I used to stare up at the sky, especially at night, look at the stars, and I would wonder why everyone else wasn't terrified of the fact that there is nothing above us. It's just space. There's nothing there. And I used to just lay there. I would be like, what is holding us down? Sure, it's gravity, but I don't see that. What is that? And I would imagine just sort of floating off into the air and never coming back down. And it was a mixture of terror, because that's terrifying, but also this sort of wonder, because then I would picture myself grabbing onto a tree branch and, pushing off towards something else. I picture myself in the house on the ceiling, sort of like Spider-Man, except also able to fly. And that really just stuck with me for a long time, because to me, the best stories are a mixture of wish fulfillment and danger. So you got the wish fulfillment of you can fly, mixed with the danger of if you fly too high, you might never come back down. So that is where the idea came from. And then I wanted a protagonist, in this case Willa, who actually liked that world, because there's something very interesting about doing a world where the world's been turned upside down, but also show both how bad it can be with Nate, but also how good it can be with Willa. Question 6. Through the story, you're trying to send a message about the society we live in and the way it is evolving. I think so. I mean, Lee, we've talked about this a whole bunch, but we wanted to tell a hopeful story. The idea that
was from the get-go, wasn't it? We discussed we didn't want it to be this sort of dystopian future that we see many times over, because hope was like something that ran through the whole thread, right?
Yeah, and speaking of the idea that humanity adapts, humanity is strong, and we are strong if we are together. We are strong if we show love. Things like that, the idea that just ultimately humanity can ascend, we can grow. We might take 2 steps backwards as much as we take 2 steps forwards at times. There will be problems, as our world is illustrating any given moment, but we very much believe in the optimistic perspective on humanity and wanted to reflect that even in a sort of pseudo post-apocalyptic world. It's just a new world. It's the only world Willa has known. So to her, it's not post-apocalyptic. It's home. Dealing with an artist who never keeps a deadline. I'm joking. Lee is one of the best on-deadline artists you'll ever meet. So
that's how I do this for a living. So you have to hit those deadlines.
That is exactly it.
That's the lesson, kids. Do you have any sort of major? Faced obstacles over the course of this? Obviously the personal things occur in your life and things. Obviously. Well, there is that. God, yes, that was. That was sort of difficult for a second, and then we shared a lot of the astronaut videos, didn't we? Things like photos and videos from the ISS, and then I think it was when we kind of worked out that because it's not no gravity, it's low gravity, that I imagined every room was sort of underwater, so. Things would eventually rest and settle, but the minute anything sort of knocked them, or there was anything that would sort of push them off where they just rested, then they would float around for a bit until they'd sort of found their space and they'd rest again somewhere else. So it was kind of an underwater visually was the key into finding how to draw it, because there was a lot of stuff, but that didn't really help me with things like. And sort of no gravity insect farm and stuff like that. That was there was no reference for that. But it was good fun.
Yeah, and I guess to me the obstacles to me was it was my first comic, and I really wanted to do it right, and I wanted to tell a story that for all the spectacle and heart. And so I was always pushing myself to find a little more heart, and that's where Nate's Sacrifice came in, where I really wanted to push the story a bit and push myself. I had a 15-issue plan that had him in it, and I had to take him out of it. And one of the things I'd say creatively that's important is to be willing to adapt to a better idea, and be open to changing, and be open to rewriting and rewriting again, because I think a lot of people get paralyzed by not being afraid to put something onto a page that isn't good. And I'm here to tell you, I put a lot of things on the page that aren't good every single day. But then I rewrite it and it gets better, and then it gets better, and then it gets better. So never be afraid to write something bad. Be afraid of not writing at all. Actually, don't be afraid at all. Just write.
Well, I mean, you've never said anything bad to me, but like I know you've come back to me and said, actually, I found a way where we can make this, we can push this element, and this will really nail this sort of emotional beat, or really nail this kind of subtext without that being the point of it. So you've definitely come back to me after I had the script and said, actually, I've got even a better way of showing.
I'm always fiddling, and it's fun. For one, you get to go back to your sandbox and play with your toys again. But also, it's like there's always perspective. You step away from something for a day, for 2 days, for a month, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know how to do this now.
Yeah.
And there's something very important about giving yourself permission to do that creatively.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing, honestly. We were so thrilled. Like, what a wonderful thing. And honestly, we write this for people like you. We created this for people like you. So for you guys to respond in this way is just humbling.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, like I say, it was a sort of passion project for us, wasn't it? And you do these things, and you're invested, and you love it, but you put it out there, and you don't know how it's going to land with everybody. So to have people even check it out is great, and then for the way for people to respond the way they did is been amazing. And then to start, this actually to receive like an award for us, a prize race, is like next level. It's so cool, and it's just a shame we can't be there to sort of see everyone and be at this event. It was amazing.
Yeah, we wish we'd be there with you, but you guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It really means so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. See you next time.